All right, Jesse on Fire, welcome back to the channel. Now, can anybody think of any reason that I would be very excited to gloat again? This is definitely 100% not Conor pulling out of the fight. The point Conor was making, he's like, yeah, I'm just going to fight someone else. He's like, hey, let's see how much money you make. The point he's making is, you're going to make how much money to fight me? And what happens if I pull out? Hey, I'm going to fight someone else. How much money? Hey, good luck with your old contract. You understand? That's why he said good luck with your old contract. He's digging at him he's letting him know it's red panty night, dude. So show some fucking respect. I mean, this was not like a really tough call for me, but I made another call correct. And I just want to point out, this is going to be one of those videos where I'm going to gloat about something that I said. And then I'm also going to point out I'm always right. Always, always, always when it comes to this side of the prediction process, right? Like if I say, watch out for this fighter in this fight, he's probably going to win. I'll be right sometimes. And I'll act like I was real smart when I was. But the part where I'm never wrong is about the business and what's going on behind the scenes and what fights are going to get made and why. And when they come out and they say this, I'm like, that's BS. Trust me, that's not what's actually going to happen. I always 100% of the time have been correct. And I challenge anybody to go find a prediction that I made about the business, about what was going on behind the scenes that didn't end up becoming true. I have no insight into this stuff. I'm not talking to these guys. I just know people and I know business. That's all, And so today, Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier is official. Who could have possibly called that? Me. Immediately, right? Conor says, by the way, I'm out. I'm fighting someone else July 10th. Every single YouTuber. Did Conor just pull out of the UFC 264? Did he just pull out? Conor pulls out of the Dustin fight. I was like, oh my God. You guys, he's not pulling out of the fight. He was talking shit. Okay, he was pointing out to Dustin that he'll make 80% less money if Conor doesn't fight him. It's a dig. He was digging at him. He's talking shit. He's not pulling out of the fucking fight. Okay, how you understand what a pussy Conor would look like if he pulled out of the fight? Of course he's not pulling out of the fight. He's pointing out. Okay. This is a man's game, son. Okay, this is a man's game. The kind of people that get into the fight game, right? Of course it's an athletic competition. But you can go play baseball. You can go play tennis. What kind of people choose to fight, son? Alpha male lunatics, okay? What kind of people, decide to, basically for no money whatsoever, just because they're crazy, dedicate hours of their time every week to creating YouTube videos about MMA, right? Are they the kinds of people that are all, I was in my job and I just thought to myself, I need a hobby. I'll talk about mixed martial arts on television or on YouTube. That seems like a good use of my time. Or are they alpha male lunatics? I am not calling myself an alpha male because I don't fucking use that term about myself. But I mean, So in that game, define alpha male, right? Define, what does it actually mean? What does the term mean? Okay? In the gorilla world, the alpha is the gorilla at the top of the chain. All the other alpha, or all the other, they all want to be alpha, but there's only one. And they're like, hey, and they're like, you can challenge me anytime, son. We can go at this. We can figure out, you think it's not? I'll give you that beat down. I'll fuck you up, son. Put you right back in your place. But then you go down a little, people give you credit that you might someday be the alpha. And after I whip that fucking ass, everyone's going to put you down, 5th place in line. So you want to take the chance? You want to take that ass whipping? So there are lots of ways to establish who the big dog in the room is, right? One of them is who wins in a fight. That's the number one way to do it in the fight game, obviously, right? That's the number one way to do it in the fight game. Outside the fight game, there's lots of other ways. Who's got more money, right? That's an easy way to just stick a dick down a guy's throat, right? Which is, what is money? I always try to explain this to people, okay? Why is it important for some people? How much money can you spend in your life? Okay, if you put $10 million in my bank account, right? $10 million, that's a number. I'm done. No, I wouldn't be, but I'm saying I could be. I could be done on 5, right? Buy a house, pay for it outright, give it to a money manager, live on the interest. I'll play golf every day. Boom, I'm done. What do I need more money for? I don't care about cars. I don't care. I like cars. But I'm not a car guy. I like watches, but I don't need 100 watches. I've learned expensive things don't make me happy, okay? I have enough money, or have had enough money to buy enough expensive things to, at this age, have learned they don't make me happy. I don't care. I have I have one $12,000 watch. I love it. But I don't need 3, I have 1. And the reason it's really important is A, because it's the sexiest watch ever, but also because someone bought it for me for a very important birthday. Okay, if I mean, it's not like I can't go buy a $10,000 watch for myself if I really, really wanted to. But I can't ever talk myself into making that purchase because I know I don't really give a fuck. Like, I don't care about super expensive shit. So money is a scorecard. It's a way to say, like, for a guy like me, the reason you want to have more money is it's a scorecard. Are you winning or losing against other people playing the same game? Okay, we're playing this little game where everybody's, buying and selling things. Now, I've lost, man. Now, I was this close to winning real big, okay? Real big. We don't need to recap that. But the company that ended up winning is worth $60 billion now, in case you guys haven't been paying attention to DraftKings. That's the game I was playing. This close. TV show gets on, we're DraftKings. But it's neither here nor there. Anywho, but yeah, so Conor can use the money thing as who's the big dog in the room? Dustin Poirier. That's all he was doing, and I knew it instantly. And everyone's like, oh my God, he pulled out of the fight. Now, simultaneously, I also understand incentives, right? And so me being a YouTuber now, almost with 10,000 subscribers in a year, right? I thought I would be much bigger in a year, but, a lot of competition on YouTube. There's really no way to juke the algorithm. You really have to get exposure some other way. Otherwise, you're going to build real slow. Neither here nor there. But I understand the incentives, right? Now, other channels obviously understand Conor pulled out of the fight is going to get a lot of quick clicks. I don't do that shit, okay? I don't do the thing where I'm going to put out a story that I know is not true because I rely on my consistent viewers, right? My consistent viewers will watch me because I'm always right about this shit. So I'm not going to go, did Conor just pull out of the fight? If I know for sure, okay, 99.99999% that he was just talking shit. So I'm going to do the video the opposite. And I'm going to go, he's not pulling out of the fight. And then I'll end up being proven correct. And I'll build my brand on credibility instead of flashy, titles. Although I will give them also the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they really thought he was going to pull out because he did say it. I knew he wasn't, but that's because I understand this game. So yeah, I was right again. But the fight's official. Let's do this. And let's talk about that. So, listen, the conspiracy theorist in me looked at it two ways. Okay, there's two things here, right? Only two options here, right? One is that this whole thing was a conspiracy, right? Where it was like, let's, hey, they were so friendly. They're like, let's manufacture a little bit of beef for this thing, right? Like, how could we do it? Like, I don't know. Why don't you say you did? We could do a thing where we say you never donated the money, and then we could get into it on Twitter. Settle it in the octagon. That's possible. I think it's unlikely though. I think that Conor, upon getting home and reflecting on the fact that he didn't, literally, I actually here's a, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't think about this. Okay. So what did I say about in this last video that I did about Conor's mindset going into the last Dustin fight, where I said it's the only time where I don't believe he was playing the game, where I think he got so comfortable that he really believed that Dustin on his best day couldn't beat Conor on his worst day. I think he really believed that. And I'll give you another example of his thought process being there. When he was going into the Cowboy fight, he actually said that. He said that about Cowboy. When they asked him about something, and I'll be able to find this interview if I really dug deep. That's not what kind of channel this is. I don't have time. I have a full-time job. I record these super quick. I upload them. But I could find it if I needed to. Just trust me, this interview exists. He was talking about fighting Cowboy, and he said, I mean, it doesn't matter how I feel. I would beat him if I had the flu. He literally said that. He said, I would beat Cowboy if I had the flu. And I looked in his eyes. I'm like, he believes that 100%. Like, there's not even an ounce. He's not talking shit, right? He's not, like, he really believes if he had the flu, he could beat Cowboy. I think he was going into that Dustin Poirier fight with the exact same mentality. I think he was underestimating DP in what turned out to be an insanely heavy way. And why wouldn't he? He knocked him out in 90 seconds last time, and Dustin Poirier gets hit a lot. Conor is used to hitting guys and them going to sleep. I think he is overestimating his power at 155 pounds. I still believe that that's the case. I think that he hasn't, dude, he had to hit Eddie Alvarez a lot of times before he went down. Now, Eddie Alvarez actually did go down. That's actually not really true. I just don't believe Conor, actually, as I'm thinking about this is how I do these videos. It's literally like a stream of consciousness. I'm talking as I'm thinking. Here's the other thing. I can't believe I've never thought about this before. Well, since January. So Conor, when he was fighting Eddie Alvarez, seemed to have more power, right? And I've actually done entire videos about this. How did I not think about this, man? But what I've talked about Conor, like people who really watch my content, you'll remember that I've done videos where I talked about how Conor generates so much power with his left hand, or with like with his stand-up, is how he has this really unorthodox way of striking, where it was like, you know, like if you're teaching someone to generate power with their punches, especially like a boxer, it's like, you know, if you're teaching them how to throw a hook, it's like you twist off your toe, you bring your whole body into it, and then whap, and then your whole body's like a whip, right? Toe, through your knee, up your thigh, up your hip, turn, shoulder, boom. It's just one big motion like that. Where I was like, and Conor has this thing, it's like his hand, like you would never tell someone to lead to make that motion lead with your hand, right? Like your hand is just the result of this motion that you come up from your foot, through your leg, through your hips, through your shoulder. And with Conor, it looked like he leads it with his hand, but he has this crazy way of throwing punches where it's like his fist is a ball on a chain. It's like boom. And I think that what I was saying about that was correct, and I didn't even think about it. He's done so much boxing since then, right? Like he's been doing boxing. And then when you think, if you watch how he was fighting against Dustin, much more traditional boxing, much crisper, but maybe less power. Because now he's generating power kind of in the more like just traditional way of boxing. I don't know. I need to rewatch the fight. Now I'm just yapping. Anyway, but the point that I'm making here, which I don't even remember what the point I was making is actually, yes, I do, that Conor was overconfident, insanely overconfident, that he thought that he was going to beat Dustin no matter what. And I think it's a metaphor, right? Like he's like, yeah, and then I'm going to donate $500,000 to your charity, because he couldn't get a fight. He literally had to offer to pay Dustin Poirier to get a fight at the time. He's like, let's just do it for charity. I'll donate $500,000. That's how all this started, was he had to like suck Dustin Poirier into this fight by offering to pay him $500,000 into his charity. You know what I mean? That's the only way that he could beat the Zuffa ironclad lock that they had on his contract. Because when Zuffa does, or UFC, Zuffa, I guess, I'm not sure if they bought Zuffa or if they bought UFC, whatever, you understand. But the UFC contract that Conor had, again, I'm speculating, but probably right? You know, with most guys, Dana said during the pandemic, he owes these guys 3 fights a year, right? Like he has to offer them 3 fights a year. They don't have to take them, but he has to offer them 3 fights a year, right? And so they're like, okay, look, like your contract for a regular person, they're like, you get 60 to show, 60 to win. You get $120,000, assuming that you win. We have to offer you 3 fights a year. So in your mind, you're like, okay, cool. So if I win all 3 fights, I make $360,000 a year. That's pretty good, like for a starting out, or low level, mid-level fighter, right? So, but with Conor, if you're like, okay, yeah, so we're going to give you, fucking $9 a pay-per-view buy or whatever, plus a guaranteed $3 million, and whatever crazy deals that they have. There's no way that they have built into it that they have to offer him a certain number of fights a year, I bet. I would imagine that is not part of it. And Conor's team is banking on, well, of course they're going to want to offer me as many fights as possible because I generate so much money. They never anticipated the pandemic. And then when the pandemic comes and Dana's looking at the finances, he's like, I can't pay Conor what we owe him and make it make sense without the crowd, right? Like we're basically breaking even here, or we're going to make at the worst case or best case scenario, we're making $20 million less than we would if we waited until we have crowds back. How long can this really last? And what if we have Conor fight during the pandemic and he loses and his brand value goes down? We're still locked into this contract. It's not worth the risk. And so Conor's sitting there on the other side. He has no contractual mandate that he has to be offered fights. He's losing his mind to the point where he has to offer Dustin $500,000 to fight him. And then going back to the original point I was making with the metaphors, like, he's literally considering Dustin a charity case, right? Like to him, he offers a $500K. He's like, dude, I'll get this guy in there. I'll beat the shit out of him, and then I'll give him $500,000 for his trouble to his charity. I'll kick him $500K to his charity, right? Like I'm doing him a favor. He's going to let me beat him up and I'm going to give him $500,000 additional dollars to his charity, right? So then Dustin beats the shit out of him, kicks his legs off and then knocks him out for the first time. Conor's like, hey, great job, Dustin. I'm still respectful. He gets home, starts thinking about it, sticking in his craw. How charitable, is he feeling charitable now? He's like, how much money is Dustin going to make for the rematch? He's going to make $10 million. What did he make for his Dan Hooker fight? $400,000 headlining? And then they're like, here's your checkbook, Conor. Go ahead and write that $500,000 check. And Conor's like, Yeah, I think I'm going to need to see let's see where those funds are going, Dustin. Like, what are your plans with that money? You know, because you could probably afford to pay it yourself now that you've got, you know, such a big payday coming. You know, it's like the dynamic is completely different now. It's completely different, right? Completely different. So I would imagine that's why he didn't get that check. I would imagine if Conor would have won by first round knockout, he'd have sent that check the next week, would be my guess, you know? But yeah. But here's the other thing I wanted to talk about. So going back to my original point with the beginning of the video, which is that I'm always fucking right about this stuff, I want to point out the biggest prediction that I made and how I was right about that. And then also, I just realized now there's new information that further validates that I was right about the biggest prediction that I was making for months and months and months, which was that we were going to get Khabib and Conor 2 if Conor would have won the Dustin fight, okay? So, I love Khabib. I fucking love Khabib. And I was very, very interested to see what he was going to do. You know, he goes in, he retires, you know, says, Justin Gaethje, I'm going to retire, yada, yada. What I was banking on, okay, what I was really banking on was, if I understand him, which I think that I do, he is a person that is built out of gratitude, right? He's hard as nails, but gratitude is, he's just a man who understands the way the world works, right? And I think he feels incredible gratitude to Dana. And I think he knew, and I would imagine that that conversation that Dana had with him on camera when he was like, "Can you think about the rematch between you and Conor the week before Conor was fighting Dustin?" You think that's the first time that they talked about that? I'm telling you, Dana had made very clear to Khabib and his people that the Conor rematch is the fight that he wanted. And if you know, so I had been predicting that all along. Everyone's like, there's no way, dude. They're not going to fight. He's not going to fight him. He's not going to fight him. And I was like, I'm banking on Dana. I'm betting on Dana. Okay. That's all I have to do is just look at all the people on the chessboard and understand what's important to all of them and think about what they want. And then, you know, run the algorithm in my mind. How is this going to work? How does Khabib feel towards Dana? How much does this matter to Dana? So how persuasive is he going to be? How heavy is he going to go after it, etc.? And I was right? Like, I knew Dana was going to go at Khabib as hard as he possibly could. And here's the new additional data point that I want everybody to think about, okay? So Khabib announced his retirement, right? Right after the Gaethje fight. I want you to look at Khabib. I want you to go look at the video of Khabib when him and Dana were watching that fight the week before the Dustin and Conor fight, when Dana goes, I'm just saying. Now think about a Conor and Khabib rematch. I'm just saying. That clip. Go look at Khabib in that clip, okay? Look at what he looks like. Look at him now, okay? It's only been, what, 4 months, okay? Khabib, and I'm not saying this to be a prick, but Khabib has very clearly put on 20 pounds, right? He's put on 20 pounds. Now, do you think that's because, why? Why do you think that is, if you were going to guess? And the answer, I can tell you basically for sure, is because he wasn't actually retired then, right? Like he was going to potentially retire, but then once that fight fell out, he was like, okay, now I'm actually retired. And then he can relax, okay? He's got to worry about his weight if he's potentially going to fight again, right? He has to worry about his weight. And very clearly, now, that's how you know he really is committed to being retired. At least that's how I know. I look at him, I'm like, okay, he's done now, right? Good for him. He's probably, he probably was spazzing out about how much he could eat his like entire life. And now he's like, I can finally relax. And you can see that, right? But at that time, when he was sitting next to Dana, he looked exactly the same as he did a year before that, and a year before that, and a year before that, and a year before that. Then, after Conor lost, and he goes, okay, it takes a month, and he's like, okay, I'm really retired. Now, how does he look, right? So, had Conor won, all the pieces were in place, Khabib and Conor was going to happen. Honestly, I was more excited to see that fight because I just wanted to be proven correct, but I'm positive that I was right about that. I don't think the fight was going to be very competitive, candidly. I mean, I don't see what, I didn't see anything. So let's just take obviously, so Conor lost to calf kicks to Dustin Poirier, right? So, because if you take out the calf kicks, Conor looked very, very good against Dustin, as expected, as expected. But he wasn't prepared for a technique that beat him, right? So Khabib's not going to be calf kicking him, but I can certainly look at Conor's stand up and go, okay, was this version of Conor like so vastly improved on his feet that it was likely to beat Khabib? I didn't see that. I didn't see that at all. And so I think the rematch would have been cool. It would have been a nice spectacle, but I think the outcome would have been exactly the same. exactly the same. So, yeah, especially given that Conor landed such clean shots on Dustin Poirier and wasn't able to knock him out. Like, he landed big shots on Dustin, and Dustin ate him. You know, and Dustin obviously has a tremendous chin at 55, but so does Khabib. Like, Khabib's never even been, like, wobbled, man. Like, he's really never even really wobbled. So, like, if he was going to be able to, if Dustin can eat 4 or 5 of those shots, so could Khabib. And so if Conor can hit Khabib with everything he has 4 or 5 times without Khabib going out, how is he going to win, dude? You think that he's going to, like, seriously, how is he going to win? He's not going to be able to beat him. He wasn't going to be able to beat him. I do think he might beat Dustin in this rematch, though. I have no idea who's going to win this fight. I really don't. Because, the part of it that has changed for me is, like, I thought that if Conor catches him clean, he's going out, right? It's just like, that's because that has always been the equation. At 145, that was the equation. It was like, this guy is so slick, dude. And if he catches you clean, you're likely to go night-night. And with Dustin, it's like, man, he can eat a lot of shots from Conor. Like, again, I don't know if it's the change in technique or if it's just at 55 he doesn't have the same power. But if those of you guys are kind of late to the game and started watching him around Mayweather, they just clearly don't understand. Go back and watch his history at 45, because he's unbeatable. I mean, dude, it's possible that he was the best 145 pounder ever. You just don't know. I mean, he literally walked through everyone at 45. I mean, everyone. No one even challenged him. Just walked through all of them. Mendez gave him kind of a run, but he knocked him out in the second round. So, anyway, I love you guys. So that was a pretty long video. Hopefully you guys liked it. Subscribe to the channel, ring the bell. You guys can consider this a direct F you to the guy who told me, Jesus, man, you've made like your same point 100 times. Get an editor. I'm like, yeah, I don't have time to do that. Like, I could talk for an extra 10 minutes. Okay, if I want to go through and edit, you understand how much longer it takes? It's an extra hour and a half. I don't have time to do all that shit. Jesus, I don't even watch my videos before I upload them. I watch them later. Anyway, love you guys. Peace.